In this video, I will guide you through the step-by-step process of sewing an adorable Gnome-themed bag made of felt, perfect for gifting during the winter holidays. This DIY project provides a creative and festive solution for wrapping presents. You can change the colors, decor, and some materials of the bag to those you like better. In this video tutorial, I will sew the project using a sewing machine. But it is easily sewn by hand using one or more basic stitches. For example, back running blanket stitches. And you can also glue some parts instead of sewing them. Join us as we demonstrate the techniques required to bring this charming bag to life. I'll start by showing you the materials I use. For the bag we need 2 A4 sheets of hard felt. The minimum sheet thickness is 2 mm. Piece of velcro. 2 A4 sheets of paper to make a pattern. To decorate the bag, I will take felt of different thicknesses in 2 shades of red for the gnome and white for the gnome's mittens. Fleece for a gnome hat. Piece of beige fabric for the gnome's nose. White yarn to make a pom-pom for a hat. Or, for example, you can use ready-made pom-poms for the nose and hats that you can buy in the store. Fur for the gnome's beard. Also, a gnome's beard is easy to make from yarn. You can watch my video tutorial on how to make beards from different materials. Let's start by making a pattern for the bag and gnome. Follow the instructions on the screen. I will mark dimensions and draw the lines. For those who are thinking now, why should I draw this? I prefer to download the pattern from the internet. I will answer. If you will create patterns yourself and not just download them, over time, you will increase your skill level and will be able to freely implement any of your ideas. Never be afraid to experiment. Everything created by your hands will be perfect and unique. And the necessary skills will come with time. Make a rounding for the bag handle. Cut out the pattern. Fold the pattern along the previously marked lines. Our bag pattern is ready. Let's move on to creating a gnome pattern. Draw 2 rectangles. Next we draw a triangle. This will be a gnome's hat. In the lower triangle, we draw a coat pattern for the gnome. Draw a trapezoid. Draw the sleeves and turn the trapezoid into a coat. boot and glove pattern. Cut it out. Transfer the pattern. Here it is important to transfer this straight along the lines. Use a ruler. Cut out the bag pattern. Accurate cutting is also very important here. It's very difficult to cut with scissors, so I use a utility knife. Or it can be replaced with a rotary cutter. Who has quilting skills? It will be easy. To everyone else, please take your time here. Cut out only straight lines, and leave the rounded ones. For rounded parts of the handle I use cuticle scissors. The curved shape makes it easy to cut out the details. Trim the edges to get perfect lines. Transfer and cut out the gnome pattern. Fold the fabric and place the pattern with the long side of the triangle closer to the fold. Add a 3/8 inch or 1 cm seam allowance. Transfer the mitten pattern and mirror it. The same here. Cut it out. Ironing technique. How to press felt. We will fold the felt along the lines to make a crease and press it down. Leave a little space from the edge of bag handle before starting. If the handle and crease are on the same line, it quickly tears. In the same way, we press the second side, and then the bottom. The same here. Mark and stitch the gnome. These marks will help us when we stitching the gnome to control the position of the gnome's parts. I pin it in the middle, so it doesn't get under the presser foot when I stitch it. Who will sew this with hand stitches, it may not be comfortable. If you have marked the pattern, you can follow the lines without a pin. First we stitch the mittens, then stitch the coat. Take a lower thread of the same color as the bag. As for the top thread, you can change it to any color. My choice is red and white thread as the top stitch. Let's start stitching. Mittens first. Use the marks as a guide. Don't rush, choose a sewing speed that is comfortable for you. And a second mitten. I use a backstitch at the end of every piece I sew. Change the upper thread. Stitch the coat close to the edge. In the place of the sleeve, we will stitch the felt going up and back down. Now we continue to stitch the coat along the edge. On the second sleeve, we first go up with the stitch. Now we turn back. And continue stitching to the end. As you can see, when we use the lower thread of the same color as the felt, we get the most invisible stitch on the other side. Also, who wants to make the gnome three-dimensional? You can leave a gap here, stuff the coat and close an opening with the same stitch. I've already cut a beard out of fur. You can find out more information about beards and materials by watching this video. Mark position of the boots. Next step, we are going to stitch beard and boots. Also the gnome's hat. Fold the fabric right sides together. And start stitching. The seam allowance is about 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. For the boots, I will use white thread to highlight them. Bobbin thread the same as before, in my case it's gray like the color of the bag. Trim the edge of a hat and turn it right side out. Turn the hat so that a seam is on the right side. Place position of the hat on bag and mark it. The hat folds on the right side. I fold it and mark the place for stitching. I fold the edges before the stitching here and hand press it. Who will find it difficult, you can press it with an iron before stitching. Bobbin thread is the same, and red for top. One side is done. Repeat the same here. And stitching here. Cut off the threads. Hat is sewn, but doesn't hold its shape. So I press it. And restore the texture of a fleece with a cat brush. Cut off a piece of velcro. Width, ½ inch, depth, 1 inch. Mark velcro on the wrong side. Stitch around. I choose the same color for upper thread as the bobbin one. Sew pieces of the bag. Line up the pieces right sides together. Here it is very important that these top edges match perfectly, because after stitching it will be very difficult to trim the edge of the felt straight. Therefore, at all stages of sewing the bag, we have to sew it with as straight lines as possible and close to the edge. Let's start sewing the sides, since it is important for us that the top matches. The seam allowance here is minimal. About 1/8 to 1/4 inch. From 4 to 6 millimeters. Backstitch to lock those beginning. Don't rush, choose a sewing speed that is comfortable for you. When you reach the end, reverse stitching again. Both sides of the bag are sewn well. Accurate stitches, minimal seam allowances, and straight edges. Now we're going to stitch the bottom. We're now going to box our corners. First, I mark a square on the lines that we pressed earlier. On both sides of the corners and on both sides of the bag. This square is about 1 inch, or 2.5 centimeters, not including the seam allowance. Second, I need to align the seam of the bottom with the seam on the side. So I'm going to pull the layers apart and line up the seams directly on top of each other and stitch it. I don't want to trim the corners. Here it's better sew them to the side seams. Add final touches to the project. Make pom-pom for the gnome's hat. To make it fluffier, I use a pet slicker brush. For the gnome's nose, you can take, for example, a pom-pom or a wooden bead. I prefer to make it out of fabric. Gather the fabric around using a running stitch. Stuffing the nose with a fiber fill or yarn scraps from the pom-pom. We finish by sewing details to the gnome. These parts can also be glued instead of sewn. When sewing the nose, try to catch only the layer of red felt with the needle. The hand sewing thread should not be visible from the inside of the bag. Gather the hat in front using a running stitch. Thank you to everyone who has watched this video up to this point. Please join us, subscribe who hasn't subscribed yet, and support the channel by liking and writing any comment. It helps to promote the video. Thank you, we appreciate it very much.